optimist. So please, God, don't God that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Giannis has said everything that we need to hear, that he wants to be a Buck, he loves the city. That's all I can go by as a coach right now. Has it been difficult? Yeah, your players every day have to hear stuff every single day about not just their best player, but they're thrown in the mix as well. My favorite day of the year this year will be the day after the trade deadline. That'll be my favorite day because I think everyone will be here and we can get to, you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to that.
The week is upon us. The trade deadline, a Thursday, 2 Central, if memory serves me right. There's Doc Rivers saying, we're good.
Are you good?
If Giannis is here at the trade deadline, Josh,
Yeah.
that means we're going to have Giannis and Doc for the rest of the season.
Probably.
Going to be okay?
No. But it's not a determining factor if Doc is here by Thursday. It's not like anyone's talking about Doc being on the hot seat to be gone before Thursday.
If they were going to get rid of Doc Rivers between now and the end of the season, it'd already be done. I think that's fair.
And that's what I hate so much. I'm just so glad that there are other sports, that there are other things happening that I can immediately move my brain to.
And we shall. What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome in. Happy Monday. Inside Wisconsin Sports. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht.
Hi.
Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. The Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line is open, 414-677-1250. So many of you start your week with us, and we really appreciate it. Let us know how your Monday is off and running and your thoughts on all of the things that we talk about in a segment we call, All Right, Let's Play Catch Up.
Packers.
Friday afternoon news dump that meant nothing. The release finally came out, and my Twitter exploded with all you jerks tagging me. Are you okay? Everybody okay over there?
You know what I thought was so funny was I was on that bandwagon for weeks of saying, I need something. I can't stay patient. And you spent one day in my world, and everyone was, including me, was tagging you, going, there, are you happy now?
Yeah.
As if, like, you only were frustrated for one day. I was frustrated for weeks.
Maybe a half an hour of my time ever was like, all right, let's get some news. All right, so we got it. The press release came out from the Green Bay Packers, the extensions for Matt LaFleur, Goody, and Russ Ball with literally zero information in it whatsoever. A multi-year extension, I believe, is what it said.
Mm-hmm.
And still nothing from the coaching staff perspective, but per source or sources, we shouldn't expect anything in that realm until they announce the entire coaching staff later in the year. Just so you know. By the way, Matt Schneidman and Rob Domofsky say hello.
Okay. Hi, guys. Yeah, I hate that. I don't understand.
I guess we don't do it.
I just why?
Land of the secrecy, man. Like that's just the way they operate over there. And there, as a fan, there's a part of me goes, okay, all right. Like if we want to, that's why they don't like the idea of Hard Knocks, and they don't want anybody peeking behind the cheddar curtain. Let us do what we do and do it well, and not tell you about it at all costs, frankly.
Yeah, because there's so much that's going to happen from you doing it. That's my thing. Like, what are they afraid of us or other teams finding out?
Is it a strategic thing?
Forcing Gannon to talk and say hello? I don't get it.
Well, not only that, but not even announcing he's a coach.
Well, okay, that yes, that's true. But I'm still trying to figure out the whole coaching thing. Like, is there a head coach position still open in the NFL? I don't know.
I know that another one got announced over the weekend.
True. Yes.
Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur's brother, is now the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, which reminded me of Matt LaFleur talking about, this is back in 2023, I believe. They were getting ready to play the Rams. And as the media pool typically does, they look for family connections. And of course, his brother was on the staff. And they asked about where the parents land in terms of, who cheers for who in this game. Here's what Matt had to say.
I did hear that my brother said something about how he's more well-liked than I am in our family, which is probably true. He's a lot easier to deal with. But I'd say this, that my parents do live in Green Bay, and I purchased their house. So I would think that counts for something.
Well, Bud, that's before your brother had a head coaching job in Arizona.
Yeah. Although, I mean, he was in LA beforehand. If you're going from LA to Arizona, if you're talking about the Snowbirds, all right, we love you, Maddie. But the season, it's cold up here when football's going on. We're gonna go down, visit your brother for the winter.
Yep, they just made a Snowbird connection like none other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know what houses cost in LA, but I'd like to think the general Phoenix metro area is slightly less.
Yeah.
So
does Mike now buy his
he better.
parents? Yeah.
Your move, Mike.
Yeah. Yep, your turn.
He better.
Absolutely.
Nonetheless, that's pretty cool. I think anytime you see anybody who's from the same family tree, let alone the same house, show up in the NFL like this, I think it's just really cool. One thing I did not get the chance to look at, do we play the Cardinals this season, home or away?
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't look at that. Yeah, I'll look at that quick.
By the way, so help me God, if Mike LaFleur gets in front of a microphone and he's got this fire in his tummy and he took a bus to a press conference or some crap, like if he's the guy that's got all the you-rah-rahs and we got the engineer, you know what I mean? Like, does he have the personality? One of these kids does.
I don't believe that we do play Arizona this year. No, I did think about that too. I was like, especially with how we were feeling about LaFleur going into this, now that there's another LaFleur as a head coach, are we as Packers fans going to be like, all right, we still have the best LaFleur? Or are we going to be like, oh, man, can we do a LaFleur swap? Can we get the other one?
Personality matters in my book anyway, but they've got the vote. The band is officially back together, and it leads me to believe, Josh, from a Packers perspective, and then we move on, that they're literally running this thing back.
Yep. Sure seems like it.
I mean, ultimately, based on they're replacing only who they have to, which means Ed Policy and the love triangle of Goody and Russ Ball and Matt LaFleur all believe that team and that coaching staff, if they don't get injured the way they do, that's a Super Bowl caliber team. We are going to find out.
Yeah, I guess.
Brewers. You know how we talked last week that this past weekend was the first weekend, since August or something like that we hadn't had football?
Yeah.
Well, this is the last week that we will be without Brewers baseball in our lives between now and the end of October. Thank you, God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The best news. The absolute best news. I cannot wait. I mean, I've been on Twitter. I follow multiple accounts that will just have timers on when pitchers and catchers report, especially on like those coldest days when you're scrolling and someone says, hey, just so you know, 43 days before pitchers and catchers. I go, oh, okay. 43 days. All right, we can make it. Because it's more than just about baseball. It's the changing of the seasons. It's everything. Everything's better when baseball starts.
Summer Shandy commercials start hitting the radio.
Yes. Let's go.
Pitchers, catchers, Brewers, February 12th. We're 10 days away. We're all right. So too are the Badgers. Badgers big dub against Ohio State, 92-82. Is it a signature win? Maybe. But it's definitely something that there seems to be a trend of. They were down 11 points and then came back, unlike the Bucs yesterday. We'll talk about that in a little bit. There's a team of bees for the Badgers that are playing very well. A big performance from Jonathan Blackwell, who had 22, Boyd with 21, Austin Rapp hit 19 in the first half off the bench. Wisconsin moves to 16-6, 8-3 in the Big Ten, and has hit 90-plus points 9 times, which is a school record. They play again Saturday at Indiana.
Can I ask you, at what point do you start setting an expectation of happiness for the Badgers? Not necessarily maybe even just in the tournament, but with their season, what you want to see out of their record and their finish of season? Because it's been really tough for me at this point to focus on anything beyond just seeding. Where are they going to end up seeding-wise in the March Madness tournament? But as they play more of these games, I'm like, all right, where are you in the Big Ten? Where are we at in conference play?
Remember when 20 wins was all it took? If you got to 20 wins, you were in.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my brain still lands with Wisconsin or Marquette or any of the other teams that we see regionally. If you get to 20 wins, you're in. At least for the most part, that's how it goes. I can't say I care much about the Big Ten regular season anymore because we've proven so much that these are, for lack of better terms, meaningless. It does help from a seeding standpoint once you get into the conference tournament. And do you host home games during the and so on? But I see trends. I look for a lot of points, which is what they're scoring. And then if they're above the 20-win mark, which, I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but they're at 16.
Right.
We could be at 20 by February 17th.
Exactly.
That's the goal. Let's get over 20 wins. 22 would be a really, really good season. See if we can't get a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament. And then I hate that the Big Ten championship game is always the last game played before Selection Sunday.
Yeah.
As if they're going to take that into consideration and jumble the whole bracket. So there's a piece of me that doesn't want the Badgers to play in the Big Ten championship in the tournament if they're indeed in and probably have their seed locked up. Because now it's just another game do I want trophies and nets and all? Of course. But I'm just thinking, to your point, long-term about the tournament. What do we have to do right now in order to have the best chance? Part of me says, let's like win a game or two in the Big Ten tournament and get out and work on whatever we got to work on, because whatever it is that we've been doing has not necessarily been working for the Badgers in the tournament.
Yeah. Well, and that could just be style of play. Although I did also see something over the weekend that this is their 9th victory of 9 with 90 plus points on the season, which is a new school record. So, that might be a little bit of a changing of the tide too. And, Guard's got to go with the players that he has, right? And so it's every year to year, especially in college basketball, you got the transfer portal, you got guys declaring for the NBA, you got turnover. And I like the fact that if this is a high scoring Badger team and they're not winning games 64-63, that does give me a little bit more optimism going into March Madness.
Can you spell that?
I don't think so. Felt weird saying.
Hey, optimism. Look, Bucks.
Oh.
Bucks.
Bring me right back now.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Welcome back to the world of what the. Okay. 107-79. Bucks got steamrolled in Boston. I found myself going, whatever. Because it doesn't hurt as bad when you have little to no expectations. Do you have any expectations, Josh, as a Bucks fan and the Giannis fan and all the fandom that you live in?
I not right this second. No, I hate that. Like, I still want to be able to look at someone on this team and see some type of promise, right? Like the Bucks still went and made a splash to get Miles Turner. If I saw Miles Turner was putting up huge numbers to where I could go, okay, but when he gets Giannis back, like, this team could still be something. Or if Rollins was doing something and I could go, hey, we have this kid for a while, like, this could end up being something. The fact that the team just looks so defeated and there's nobody that is going out there and playing to a point to where it's still a highlight, that's what has me more concerned for the future, right? So it's like, I'm trying to find something in my world of realism to combat the pessimism, and I'm not finding it. And so I can't just look at it and go, well, we're tanking. Like, I understand we're tanking. I need a little something. Give me some player that's out there that's doing better, giving me a little bit of hope for the future. And I'm not seeing it right now.
In the land of where's Giannis potentially headed, 2 teams came out of the woodwork over the weekend. One surprised me, one does not. The Portland Trailblazers. Did you see that news hit over the weekend?
I did.
A really, Really? A reunitedness with what is he?
Yeah, with Dame and Drew. And the Trailblazers have like picks and other young talent. I mean, that was the first trade that like scenario that I saw that I went, oh, for the type of person that Giannis has always said that he is, that would be an interesting move.
That one's going to piss me off.
What?
If that because it's not the
yeah.
big city. It's not New York or Chicago or LA and all the reasons why the NBA wants Giannis out of Milwaukee. Portland? No. Now it's more than just Giannis wanting to win a champion. Like Portland?
Interesting. See, I think I'd be more okay if you're going to take him away from me, putting him in Portland. I think I'm more okay with than if he's a Laker or a Knick or a Warrior.
We got an email this morning, Josh, from a friend from the South that said the Chicago Bulls are now the favorites to land Giannis Antetokounmpo per Kelshi.
Yeah, Kelshi. I'm not buying that for a second. You know what else you can bet on Kelshi? The Royal Rumble. You could have bet on that too. So, you know.
You don't like that. Anything else from the weekend?
Anything else?
Before we get to the Royal Rumble, the Phoenix dropped two, my beloved Phoenix. Friday, lost against Cleveland State. Probably should not have lost that one. They're in the lower tier of the Horizon League. But then yesterday ran well with Wright State, the top team in the Horizon League. So at any point, any team in the Horizon League can beat anyone, which is why I love mid-major basketball.
Right.
What's your problem with the Royal Rumble?
Well, first of all, let me start by saying that I think you said Cleveland State, right? That's who they played on Friday. Cleveland State also beat Milwaukee by 2.
Milwaukee's got a lot of injuries this year.
It's true, but it's just, it could also be they're just finding their groove. They're on a hot streak. Mm-hmm. In the Horizon League more than any other league that Wisconsinites are going to be focusing on. It's going to be all over the place, and that's what's going to make their conference tournament a lot of fun to watch because it's not going to be blowouts 85-50, in the beginning rounds either. So,
well, that's what I'm talking about from a seeding standpoint.
Yeah,
I very much want Green Bay to get a home game in the Horizon League tournament, but they're going to have to do something different between now and the end of the season in order to even qualify for that. They went on a 5-game streak of wins,
right? Yeah,
and now have lost 4 out of their last 5.
Yeah, look at that quarter zip. Shouldn't have watched it.
I saw he had it on yesterday, and it actually looked white.
Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, Royal Rumble. First of all, huge shout out to my friend Luis and the Potawatomi Casino Sportsbook Hotel, all of them for putting on this amazing watch party for the Royal Rumble that happened over the weekend. Big sexy Kevin Nash, if you are like an 80s wrestling fan, he was Diesel. I'm, NWO for life. I joined the NWO at like 7 years old. So once you're NWO, you're NWO for life. But it was really cool to meet him, hang out, and watch the Royal Rumble, which is still the best pay-per-view by far. And I'll fight people on that. The Royal Rumble match itself is just so much fun.
Yeah.
And so we had an absolute blast. I had so many questions. I don't understand why it looked like there was no one there. And then like you see images and it did.
That's so funny that you say that. There were screens in the seats. I had the same reaction.
Right. It looked
full, like open seats. It was not open.
Like it wasn't. And I was like, that's a bad look. Why would you make it to look like that? So that was a weird thing. And then also, spoiler alert if you didn't watch, but like, I was like, oh, perfect. Roman Reigns. Perfect. That's what we needed because
why does that bother you?
Because I thought this was a good opportunity for them to push someone else instead of making Roman Reigns put him on the poster for another WrestleMania. Because we haven't had Roman Reigns headline enough for WrestleManias. We need to do one more. And it's just like, oh boy.
Have you seen the WrestleMania commercial?
Yes.
You knew it was going to be one of those guys, right?
Well, yeah. Yeah. And I didn't love it. I didn't love that was the case. But it just was, it was another thing where it was like, come on, doesn't have to be this way. And then it was.
I thought that WWE's creative team did a pretty good job with the event itself, though. There was for a lot of minutes, I thought Sami Zayn was going to get his shot, and then not so much.
Oh,
I liked what happened to Braun Breaker right in the beginning. That made me
that
smile.
That was fun.
I thought the women's went really well.
I
And how
agree.
it ended was awesome.
Yep.
Did Liv turn babyface?
I think she is a little bit. I'm interested to see how that all plays out. I don't think that she can do anything wrong right now. I think she's just over as a heel, or if she goes back to being a babyface, it just works.
Did you know, the more you know, Liv was injured here in Green Bay on Monday Night Raw.
Yep.
So all of the success that she's had is because her rehab started here in Green Bay.
That's what I heard. Also a huge Packers fan.
Is she?
Oh, well, yeah, she was here. Our friend Wes Hockowitz, a bunch of people tweeting out photos of her with a photo shoot she did from Lambeau, having like the Packers championship belt and a cheese head and all these other things, as congratulating her. So that was very cool too.
I like her even more.
Yeah, there you go. There's a little Wisconsin tie. There's a little Wisconsin tie for everybody.
We're back. All right, I have questions is next. Get yours in, 414-677-1250. We've got a number of texts to review already that we will get to after the break. The question that we have written down are twofold. Number one, what is the Pro Bowl even? Like, it's tomorrow night, apparently. And are you actually saving that time on your calendar to watch that? And is there a fix? We'll compare it to the other all-star type games in the other leagues, and I don't know. There's no chance I'll put myself in front of a TV for any length of time. I'll frankly just Google it the next day and go, hey, how'd the Packers do?
Yeah, I'll turn it on because it's a Tuesday and I don't know what else will be happening.
Also, each day this week, I want to review a Super Bowl prop bet. A buddy of mine and I go to the casino and we lay about $400 on all the different Super Bowl bets you could. Some years, we do really well. Other years, not so much. I guess that's betting. Do you have the over-under on the national anthem? We'll talk about that next as well. 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. Off and running on a Monday. It's Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Former Badgers defensive coordinator Jim Leonhard was hired in Buffalo over the weekend. Do you think Jonathan Gannon is a better fit for the Pack, or did we make a mistake by not chatting with Jim Leonhard? Find out what the guys think on 9 to noon with former Packers fullback John Kuhn this morning, starting at 9 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Trevor, Josh, inside Wisconsin Sports. Before we get to I Have Questions, we were talking off the air just a little bit about WWE. Someone in the 920 texted in and says, you guys are too young, but I remember the first WrestleMania and watching it on pay-per-view in 1985. The Hulk, Mr. T, King Kong Bundy, Junkyard Dog, Roddy Piper. It was awesome.
Yeah, I've seen it like 100 times.
I don't think I've seen it once. You go back and
really?
watch? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've
Was
seen
that the one at the
all
Garden?
WrestleManias. Yeah.
Okay, that's the one that Hulk Hogan like landed on the scene.
I mean, yeah. That was kind of the one that started it all. Like, they went out, they got a bunch of celebrities to be a part of it. It was at Madison Square Garden. It was something that hadn't been done.
Time for I Have Questions. Here we go.
When things just don't add up, Trevor and Josh ask the hard questions or just point out how messed up stuff is.
I only have one question.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
Do you view this season as a failure?
You asked me the same question last year.
What's the most important question the Badgers have to answer Saturday?
This is a great question. Oh my God, this is a great question.
It's time for I Have Questions on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
The Nicolay Law fan talk and text line 414-677-1250. What questions can we answer for you on this Monday morning? What have you been holding on to? Going, I bet Trevor and Josh have the answer to this. So I'm just going to hold on, not ask anybody in the world, and then I'm going to text these guys on Monday morning and figure out what the real answer is. So go ahead. We've got the answer for you. And if we don't, we're completely going to make it up, but you won't know the difference.
I was going to say, we have a answer.
414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law fan talk and text line. Josh, what is the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, so that's a great question right there. I feel like every year for the last however many, we have been changing what the Pro Bowl is and hating it more and more. And it's just becoming less relevant. And I don't know what we can do. Because here's the thing with the Pro Bowl, right? The Pro Bowl, like all All-Star games, used to mean something. It used to be like it was in Hawaii and it was a big deal and everyone played and everyone watched because you got to see your favorite players play another game with other amazing players. And so I remember looking for that, helmet with the G on it and going, oh, there they are. Hey, that's my guy. Not a thing anymore. People don't care. The players don't care. It's just the idea of it has gone away. However, you still want to give accolades to the players throughout the season, and it's built into contracts and all these other things. If you are a Pro Bowler, if you're a Pro Bowl selection and all these other things. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm over trying to make the Pro Bowl a meaningful game. I'm trying to figure out how to still say, hey, you're a Pro Bowler, means something for the athletes without worrying about the game itself.
My question is, why does it matter anyway? There are 3 ways you can become a Pro Bowler based on votes. 1 is fan voting, 2 is player voting, and 3 is coach voting. So at some level, if there's a Pro Bowl selection tied to your contract, like we've talked about in the past, and you have all the money, I would pay a bot. I would pay somebody to create a bot and make sure I'm a Pro Bowler so that I get, I don't know, $900,000 or whatever's in my contract.
Yeah, 100%.
Sounds good. How much did you spend on a bot? 50 grand? Yeah, dude, it got me 900 grand.
Yeah, good investment.
Right.
And that's the thing. I don't know exactly how it all works or where it's at with maybe they don't put that in contracts anymore. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, the game itself, I mean, it wasn't the fact that it wasn't even on a weekend anymore. It's on a random Tuesday. I was like, oh, this is just this is done. And it's honestly, it's a problem for every single sport. Like you and I have talked about it off air.
Is it though? Is it
the
problem for every single sport?
The MLB All-Star game used to be, I could not miss it. I
cannot miss it.
To me, it's why? What is it now?
Because it's fun. Because they interview players while they're playing. Because they went back to wearing their own uniforms and home and away.
That was good. That they did that just last year, but that was good.
But they've made decisions along the way to try to make the game better instead of getting away from what the game's about. I understand it used to matter, like home field advantage in the World Series. That I can appreciate. I feel like Milwaukee had a lot to do with going, oh, well, we can't really depend on this too much. Because when it was at Miller Park, it ended in a tie.
Right.
Brutal.
Yeah.
I understand the injury piece with the NFL and all the things that go into that. But if you compare and just look at the All-Star games, and maybe it's because I remember when All-Star games were, to your point, must see. Remember the NBA All-Star game, the NBA All-Star weekend when we were younger?
Oh, yeah.
And like true star athletes participated, not only participated, but played, and specifically the dunk contest. I remember that being just this incredible thing. Now with all the props and the people and the cars, and I'm like, can you just do a really cool dunk and move on? Like, what if we took this back to its roots? What if we took it back and said the NBA All-Star game is actually going to play defense? The stars are going to be in the dunk contest. The John Stocktons are going to be in the three-point contest. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And they've tried. It just doesn't work.
It just doesn't work. I feel like the idea of these type of things is just, it's history. It's ancient history. And they're trying to hang on for financial purposes, but they're not, fans aren't interested in it anymore. And that's what and I think that honestly, they lost the fans when they lost the players. They lost the players first. The players didn't care. Once you had to start paying the players more to be in whatever the event was, it was like, okay, why do the fans care?
The one that I think did figure it out was the NHL. So they just said, you know what, screw it. This All-Star game sucks. We're going to do something different. And they replaced it with the whole traditional All-Star Weekend international stuff. Remember when they did, what last year was it? When there was 4 countries that played in this, like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, and it ended up being U.S. versus Canada. I'm not an NHL guy. I don't like follow an NHL team. I couldn't name you one player in the NHL. Cole Caulfield. I think he went to Wisconsin. I think he plays for Montreal.
I believe you're right.
Boom. That's all I got. But when they did that whole international thing, I was glued because I love playoff hockey. Love playoff. It's the best playoffs in the Stanley Cup final. Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Yeah.
They figured it out somehow.
There was an NBA All-Star game. I want to say it was 2 or 3 years ago, where it was like the first year that they had changed the rules to, I think, what they are now, where you had to it was like the first team in each quarter to get to X amount of points or whatever it was. But then the last one really mattered. And for that 1 year, and it was like whatever side won, a charity got money. And they put the kids from the charities in the stands. And so it's like, well, you're not going to try hard for these kids, like kind of almost pushing the players to do that. And for like 5 minutes, you saw LeBron and all these other players really bust their ass and, like, in a meaningless game, really, really try. And I enjoyed the hell out of that. But it was for like 5 minutes, 1 year. And I'm just going, if you can't get them to do that every year, what the hell is the point?
I have a quick question before we get to the Nicolay Law fan talking text line. 414-677-1250. NFL Super Bowl prop bets.
Yeah.
I'm going to list one off each day this week. I want you guys to text in, and I'm also going to create a poll on my Twitter at Trevor Thomas IW. If we're looking at the prop bet of the Super Bowl national anthem, Charlie Puth is going to sing the Super Bowl national anthem this year. The over-under is 1 minute, 59 and a half seconds. So essentially, you're either 2 minutes and the over or under 2 minutes and the under. So where do you stand? Over under on the Super Bowl national anthem prop bet. Charlie Puth. Josh, what do you think?
I think it's going to be under. I think that it's become less cool to explore, the range and draw things out, and instead to just nail it like the right way. So I think I'm going to go under.
I'm going to go over. You ever gotten on a death scroll rabbit hole of Charlie Puth on TikTok?
Yeah.
Do that. I highly recommend, if you haven't done that,
do he's that. Incredible.
Such an amazing artist that can do things like in the moment. It's absurd when he's on Fallon and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm going to take the over. All right. So Josh under, Trevor over.
There you go.
Shocker. This could be fun this week. We'll put the poll out a little bit later. Let's get to your text messages and or questions this morning.
I like this one from Jason in Wind Lake, who said, "Hey boys, who gets to 20 wins first, the Bucks or the Badgers?"
Badgers.
All right, so here's the thing. The Bucks have more opportunities to get there first. They are at 18 wins, so they only need 2 more. They also play tomorrow night at home against the Bulls, and then Wednesday at home against the Pelicans. So technically, and then they have a third home game against the Pacers on Friday. So they have 3 games this week. I don't know when the Badgers play next. Let me look here.
Saturday.
So they don't play until Saturday. So the Bucks would have to just essentially lose out for weeks to even give the Badgers a chance to do that. I'm not saying it couldn't happen.
You're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, but I'm going to still go Bucks.
Jeff from Fox Point, what's your favorite All-Star game? He loves the baseball All-Star game. The Home Run Derby is the best event in any All-Star game. That's my favorite. Josh, what's yours?
Yeah, the Home Run Derby is awesome. I still love it. They're like, oh, they juice the balls. Yeah, well, they used to juice the players, and it was really cool when you saw a human being, roids or not, hit a ball so hard that it broke a monitor, broke a screen, like Sammy Sosa did, 25 years ago here in Milwaukee. Like it's an amazing feat to see. It's not just about hitting the home run and having it barely get over the fence. It's watching these guys crush a baseball.
How awesome was the steroid arrow home run?
Oh, dude, it was the best. Yeah.
Kirsten from GB, I have questions. Why does Marwan Chichi not have his name on his jersey for the Green Bay Phoenix men's basketball team? I have no idea.
Oh.
But he played great yesterday. He's a big old boy.
Maybe they're working on it. Maybe they have to. They gotta get a machine, put it on there.
Annie in Oconomowoc, what does Mike LaFleur look like? Oh, he's a handsome bastard too.
Is he to the point of Matt LaFleur?
I how do we talk about this? I don't like what Matt's done with his beard.
I don't think he's as good looking as Matt LaFleur.
I think Matt looked better when he was just rugged. When he first showed up in town, women were like, "Woohoo! Look at the beard." Now he does it all pretty and stuff, and he looks very metro all of a sudden. Mike does not look so metro quite yet.
No.
Maybe a head coaching job turns you into that.
That's true. Good.
Not everybody.
That's a question, Annie, that we're gonna have to. It's opinion. It's gonna be your choice.
Couple more here. 920 Terry in the Schwaben. Trevor, great to meet you at the GB game on Friday night. Love the show. Thanks for saying hi, Terry. It was great to meet you as well. Somebody else in the 920, when we were talking earlier about the Packers running it back after they announced that the trio is indeed renewed in terms of their contracts with Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur and Russ Ball. And Josh and I mentioned earlier that it appears that they, as in Ed Policy, and he, as in Matt LaFleur and their coaching staff, are only going to replace those that leave. Other than that, they truly believe that they have a Super Bowl caliber team with a Super Bowl caliber coaching staff. And so far, it appears they're literally running it back. To which I said, okay, earlier on, if they win the Super Bowl, I will literally eat crow on the air. This person says, where do you want me to bring the crow? Because that's their idea that they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Yep. Like I said, I'd love it.
I would love it too. Last one before we get to break. Josh, who do you think was the masked man that attacked Braun Breaker?
Oh yeah, that was one of the big questions if you watched the Rumble. I think it's Logan Paul. I think they're going to swerve Logan Paul some way, shape, or form.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I mean, they brought in Theory. Maybe he's salty about it. Who knows? There are a million ways it could go.
Love that. I thought, obviously, the easy answer is Seth Rollins, right? But I'm pretty sure he's actually injured this time and didn't make the trip, although he could have. Who knows?
Who knows?
All right, when we come back, it'll be the most electrifying sound of the day, plus a few more of your text messages and questions. 414-677-1250. That's the Nicolay Law fan talk and text line. We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
It's time for
The most electrifying
sound of the day
The most electrifying
on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Brought to you by Best Electric. Learn more at bestelect.com. Don't stress. Connect with the best.
92-82 is going to be your final score. Wisconsin takes care of Ohio State on a Saturday afternoon in Madison.
And that was Jason Benetti on Fox with the call of the Badgers beating Ohio State. And that is the most electrifying sound of the day, brought to you by our friends at Best Electric. Remember, no job is too big or too small for Best Electric. Don't stress. Connect with the best. Call them today or visit bestelect.com. Man, I will tell you, it is just a blessing. Every time we get to have a positive sports call from Wisconsin right now. I cannot stress enough how happy I am that we're able to play positive final calls from the Badgers. They are saving any sound.
Jason Benetti is the best, too. If you're unfamiliar with him, look up Jason Benetti's story. A huge spokesperson for CP, cerebral palsy. He has it himself, and his story is absolutely incredible. Look him up. Yeah, Bucky's playing well. 8-3 in the Big Ten. They play Saturday at Indiana. Then the following Tuesday, the 10th, at Illinois. Then back home on the 13th, the following Friday, versus Michigan State, and then back on the road. So 3 out of their next 4 are away, and that's typically when the challenges happen, to say the least.
Yeah, speaking of challenges happening, we could be Tennessee right now. I don't know if you heard this from Rick Barnes after their last game, talking about wondering if his players are betting on games. Listen to this.
I mean, at the end of the game, some of the passes that we throw, and I mean, just, I don't know what to say other than sometimes I wonder if my guys are betting on games. I shouldn't say that, but, you know, that's what erase that. I don't want to say that. But I just wonder what's happening. I mean, because I know we're too good of players to do that. Was that a bad I apologize. I shouldn't have said that, but
I apologize. I forgot. That's a terrible thing. I absolutely shouldn't.
Whoopsies.
I get the idea, right, of being like frustrated. You're frustrated with how your players played. That's one line. I love that. Like, as he tried to move on, he was like, that was okay. That was really bad. Okay. I'm going to hear about that. There's meetings. You're already scheduling the meetings. Okay.
Hey, Rick. Hey, come here for a sec. Just real quick chat about that.
Yeah. So if you could just not do that.
How we don't bring up throwing games in your post-game presser.
I'm wondering if my players are betting on games. Wow.
Yeah, but Rick Barnes, 71 years old, 0 Fs. Just doesn't. And that's the way a lot of these older. Look at Izzo. Look at how he talks about the state of college basketball.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand. But, I mean, you could tell that he realized he messed up. I loved when he said, erase that. I was like, you're not talking to the papers that are recording your comments on their, recorders and then going to go back and write a story. Like, people are filming you. Like, this is going to be live on the internet in seconds. That's not. No, just go ahead, erase that.
Delete that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, don't put that one out.
All right. When we come back, it is time for the Monday edition of the Morning Mind Dump. Where are we going with this, Josh, in regards to Giannis and other athletes and fandom across the state of Wisconsin?
Yeah, this kind of came up at the end of the show last week about people that are so ready to move on from Giannis, and it made me think, where were our fan bases at with the team before we got those beloved superstars that get to this point in their careers?
We'll cover that and your morning mind dumps from the weekend. How was your weekend in sports and sporting life and all things Wisconsin? 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line. We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Good morning, Wisconsin. Hang tight.
Your fan weather forecast brought to you by Habish, and Rotier is snowy conditions expected this morning with a high of 27 and a low of 18. It's currently 21 degrees here in Milwaukee.
I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, it's great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Giannis has said everything that we need to hear, that he wants to be a Buck. He loves the city. That's all I can go by as a coach right now. Has it been difficult? Yeah. Your players every day have to hear stuff every single day about not just their best player, but they're thrown in the mix as well. My favorite day of the year this year will be the day after the trade deadline. That'll be my favorite day because I think everyone will be here and we can get to, you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to that.
What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome in Inside Wisconsin Sports. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht.
Hi.
Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and live on YouTube and Twitter as well. Follow us there at WI Sports Radio. Trevor Thomas, IW at On Air Josh is where you can find us. Doc Rivers in front of a microphone there, talking about how this Thursday, the NBA trade deadline, is going to be his favorite day. Boy, oh boy, will it be telling for Doc if Giannis gets traded, and he's going to go, oh, didn't see that coming.
I mean, will it? Will you be surprised at all if he gets traded by the next thing that Doc says?
Maybe.
Not at all. Right. I won't.
It'll just tell you how much Doc is out of the loop with the ownership group, indeed, if that happens.
Yep. Sure will.
Which should also be telling for him when it comes to the end of the season.
I mean, he's got to know something, right? Like he's in his first rodeo.
Monday morning, coffee's kicked in after a good weekend, but a long one, getting the garage ready for the Super Bowl party that we throw every year. Did some painting. Ooh. TV's in the right spot. Got a heater installed thanks to my buddy Chris. Oh, it's going to be a party on Sunday. Time for the time of the show where you got to get it all off your chest and out of your head before you continue on this Monday.
I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me.
The coffee has kicked in. We're awake and ready to roll. Let's get some things off our chest and out of our heads.
You don't know what it's like to be me out here for you. It is an up at dawn, pride-swallowing siege that I will never fully tell you about, okay?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We've got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
It's time for the morning mind dump on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. The Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. What do you got to get off your chest and out of your head? So we heard Doc there talk about how the trade deadline is going to be his favorite day because that's the day that Giannis, who has told us as Bucks fans that he loves the city, he loves the team, he wants to be here, and so there's just nothing to worry about. Giannis has also said that he doesn't sign his own paychecks.
He's an employee.
Whatever. happens is going to be whatever they want to happen. And it's left the majority of Bucks fans and maybe just Wisconsin sports fans in general befuddled. And when have we had to process things like this in the past? What was the state of the team? What was the situation specifically with superstars here in Wisconsin in sports that, well, have left us feeling like we currently feel about Giannis? The only ones that I can really pinpoint were Favre and obviously then Aaron Rodgers. And I was here in Green Bay for both of those, Josh, kind of watching those go down from not super afar, frankly. I've got a few stories about the whole Rodgers piece back in the 2008 timeframe, but is this the most befuddled you found yourself to be in regards to superstardom and how you feel?
I think that this more than the rest has the biggest impact. It's funny. I actually had on the organizations. I think that Giannis and what's happening is going to, and mostly for me just comes down to because I don't trust the front office. I trusted the Packers. When Favre left, like there were a lot of people, right? There were a lot of people that were like, no, who's this Rodgers guy? Favre forever. But you trusted that even if Rodgers wasn't great, that the Packers were going to be okay. And I think that a lot of fans thought the same thing when it was time to move on from Rodgers to Love. It was a lot more split because of trust in the organization to do the right thing going forward. There was trust in the organization, right? I don't know that trust is there with the Bucks organization. It's funny. I had two guys at Potawatomi for the Royal Rumble watch party that came up to me, and they're listeners of the show. And it was funny because they both were like, yeah, we don't really like you. I mean, we listen, but like the stuff you say. And I was like, nice to meet you. Yeah, let's talk about it. And I was like, it's fine. Yeah, I got nothing else going on a Saturday. No, let's do it. But they immediately started going in on me and saying that the Bucks were fine before Giannis and that they'll be fine after. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how can you say that? What world was I living in that was different than yours? And I want to know on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. Let me know. 414-677-1250. Before Giannis, where was this amazing time? They were like, we had Michael Redd. Yep, I remember Michael Redd. I remember him being here. I also remember in that time with them that they never got out of the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. And there wasn't promise. There wasn't a lot of promise of anything. We just had Michael Redd. That was it. I didn't believe that the organization was doing anything. And they go, well, what about 2001? Yeah, that was 25 years ago. Like, it's very hard for me to look at from 2013 when Giannis got there, going all the way back to 2001 and go, no, you're right. Before Giannis turned it on in 2015, yeah, you're right. This Bucks organization was something that the entire city of Milwaukee was into. Maybe I'm naive. Sure didn't seem that way to me. And the record and what the Bucks did in that time also kind of tell that story. To your point, in Green Bay, going through, and obviously you were there, you were living it, you were breathing it every day, but it sure didn't seem like there was an 8 to 10 year gap of not trusting the organization. Now, I don't know. I'm too young. We talked about this on Friday. You were also too young. Pre-Brett Favre, where thoughts were on the team and the organization as a whole. Maybe a lot of fans didn't trust the Packers front office and the brass of the organization pre-Brett Favre. I don't know. I wasn't here. But since Brett Favre's been there, I feel like overall the state of Wisconsin has trusted in whoever's in charge at 1265 to continue having this team be competitive year in and year out. Maybe they're not happy that they haven't gotten back to a Super Bowl lately, or that, they haven't been able to get over certain humps, but they trust them to be there, to stay competitive, to keep us all there as fans. The Brewers, we keep talking about coaches of the year, managers or GMs of the year. I mean, Matt Arnold and what they're doing, what the Brewers, who are the smallest market in Major League Baseball, are able to get creative, continue to do things to get those bites of the apple, I think gives the state of Wisconsin, our fan base, a lot to believe in. We trust the Brewers organization to keep the team competitive. We might not always like it. We didn't like that we had to get rid of Freddie Peralta, but we knew this is what they have to do to keep it fair, relevant, and us interested in the team. I just don't see that with the Bucks currently.
I definitely am on the page of I think the Bucks were fun to watch before Giannis. There's a huge argument that based on the Bradley Center and the Deer District and the Fiserv and all those things that Giannis helped build, that was a franchise-saving piece that they didn't have prior to that. So apples to oranges in comparison probably, because since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Lou Alcindor, Giannis is the biggest star to ever come through Milwaukee and wear a Bucks uniform. And there have been some really good ones. The big dog, Ray Allen, Michael Redd, even the guys from the yesteryear that were still competitive prior to the whole run that the team went on when Giannis arrived, and specifically 2015. The state of the franchise, though, in terms of trust, to say that the Packers fandom trusted the move from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers is wild to me. That time frame was the most unproven time frame in the superstar era of the Packers post-Lombardi's era. So when they moved on from Favre, you might remember the Favre was wishy-washy for some time.
A long time, yeah.
When he decided to retire, then decided to unretire and wanted to come back, the Packers welcomed him. People forget this. The Packers welcomed him back with open arms. Come on back, Brett. This will be great. Just so you know, you have to compete for the starting job because all of the triggers and switches have been pulled and flipped here within the organization to move on to Aaron Rodgers. They drafted Brian Braum in the top of the second round. They drafted Matt Flynn late in that same draft. They had 3 quarterbacks in camp. And Brett, come on back and compete for your starting job because we moved on. Well, Brett didn't want to do that. And that pissed off the fan base that they were going to make Brett Favre compete for his starting job.
Yeah, how dare you?
So they trade Brett Favre, and within 3 years, they win a Super Bowl. They watched Aaron Rodgers under Brett Favre, and that worked. So that transition from Rodgers to Jordan Love was definitely a trusted transition, even though when they drafted Jordan Love, the vast majority of Packer fans were like, here we go again. What are we doing? Right? And so far, seems to be working. Yet some people, the jury is still out on whether Jordan Love is the guy or not. The Brewers are an interesting and different deal altogether. No one has ever looked at them and had a superstar and thought we were going to be able to keep him. It's almost this, you don't even need to say it anymore. If we've got the guy, or at least one of the top 5 guys, or even top 10 guys, would you say Freddie Peralta is top 10 in terms of starting pitchers in all of Major League Baseball right now?
No.
Where do you think he lands?
Top 20, maybe. But like, I'm going to say that the top 5 are probably on the Dodgers. And then, I mean, you got Skubal, there are a bunch of other guys that were up there. I would go to some of the already being paid a bunch of money guys first. I'm not saying he's not up there, but I don't know that he's top 10.
Remember, he was in conversation for the NL Cy Young.
Yeah, I'm not saying they didn't have a good season last year.
And as soon as we all understood that Peralta was going to be in the final position of his contract, we knew he was going to be moved on from. And so the expectation or understanding or where the Brewers organization has been completely changed in 2008, and it's pretty much been there since then. The organization and the superstardom and the bronze and bringing in Moustakas and CC Sabathia, like there's confidence in the Brewers organization, but it has a peak. It doesn't go anymore like up. All right, so that's just where that's going to ultimately land. So, with the Bucks,
yeah, I was going to say in regards to the Brewers. So Yelich was brought in that trade happened in 2018. When you look back in your mind and you think about the Brewers' seasons from 2012 through 2017, do you have bad memories of those 4 or 5 years?
Mm-mm.
They didn't make the playoffs. They
But
didn't
I
make
have
the
no bad
postseason.
memories.
100%. And that's my point, is that even without Yelich wasn't there yet, right? I mean, since they brought in Yelich, by the way, they've only missed the postseason one time. Okay, let's look at that as well.
You may
as
have
far
just
as
proved your own point.
Building a culture. But my point is that for those 4 or 5 years that they didn't have that person, that they didn't have Yelich, we still trusted the organization. We were still going to games. We were still talking about the teams. We weren't going, this team sucks. This sucks. We weren't having those conversations like we are with the Bucks.
From 2001 to 2013, do you have bad memories of the Bucks?
Yeah.
What are they?
Yeah, it not even like turning away free tickets, watching the team.
No, of the Bucks organization. Like, that's what we're talking about, right? Is the stardom and how they're playing and trusting the organization. Like, what are the bad memories that you have of the organization from 2001 to 2013?
Yeah, looking at the fact that all we could celebrate was Michael Redd, that there was nothing that could be put around Michael Redd to make the team legitimately a chance, that we still had to deal with more fans coming in wearing opposing team jerseys than Bucks jerseys. There was no energy in
but
the
there's
building.
Nothing specific is my point, Josh. There's nothing specific that's jumping out to you as like these moments with these players based on no trust in the franchise that you can put a pin on from 01 when we went to the Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals until when Giannis got here. So that's kind of the argument that I think some of the people that were having the conversation with you over the weekend are trying to make. Yeah, there's going to be down times for organizations, specifically in between superstardom runs. The Packers went through it with Rodgers. Their first season with him as a starter didn't go well.
Right, one
the Packers
season.
Went through,
okay.
The Packers went through it. No. I'm just saying an ebb and flow of a stardom piece. The Packers clearly went through it at the beginning of the Favre era, but remember, we traded a first-round pick for him, and the Packers went through it with Jordan Love. And they've made it back to the playoffs, just like the Bucks did in that time frame, just like the Brewers have done consistently since 2008. So the idea of looking at the frustration as fans in Wisconsin as a whole, and specifically tying the expectation and trust of the franchise to the superstars that have come and gone, are really based on the ending and how it moved forward since. Giannis is by far the biggest star the Bucks have had since the glory days with Lou Alcindor and that original NBA championship. But since then, they've had a number of different players that have come and gone in the franchise that made Bucks fans believe. The same is true for the Brewers.
Did the fan, and I'm asking this legitimately because I don't think I did. I don't think that I believed. The reports were no one wants to go to Milwaukee. No one wants to play in Milwaukee. You weren't getting free agent signings, big names that were going to go to Milwaukee. Who wants to play in Milwaukee?
The same thing happened for the Packers, though, too, man. Like, you know how hard it is to get guys to move to Green Bay? Very difficult. Specifically with any ethnicity. This is Northeast Wisconsin. There's 100,000 people in Green Bay proper. There's not a lot to do from a cultural standpoint for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think to me, since the days of Reggie signing and people going Green Bay, you're going to Green Bay, Wisconsin, to today has changed so much to where
it hasn't. That's where you're off. It hasn't changed. That's just it. You know how much we had to pay Reggie to get him here? You know how much we had to pay Charles Woodson? It is a tough place to get not only players to come to, but coaches. That's what we as Packers fans don't realize from the outside looking in. It is very difficult to get guys to want to come to Green Bay, whether it's coaches or players in general. A, freezing freaking cold. B, super small town. C, at least an hour and a half from anything else. Milwaukee to the north side. I can make it to a Bucks game in about an hour and a half. It is hard to get people but that's the story of Wisconsin sports franchises. No different than where college athletics is now, where the Badgers don't have that top 10 NIL budget of any kind. The Bucks aren't the destination for players because Milwaukee and the Brewers and small market, and the same thing is true for Green Bay. So as a fan of Wisconsin sports, I've always taken a step back and go, what should our expectations be? If we win a championship, if we ever get a World Series for the Milwaukee Brewers, we better party like it's 1999 for a solid year.
Yeah. And we're going to celebrate that for maybe a decade. I want to get to some of the text here on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. The 414 said, until Giannis comes out and begs for a trade, keep him here and keep rebuilding. I don't want to go back into the quote-unquote ready to rise motto. Yeah, that was a fun period of time. 608, before Giannis, they sucked and were totally irrelevant. Cole was happy to get smoked in the first round of the playoffs. 414, Giannis may have saved the Bucks.
100%, yeah.
262, the latest from the comment section of the Bucks Facebook page is a combination of abandoning home games to the slogan "Fear the Tank." They may need to make a significant trade or firing to get the city back. That's from Ziggy. You see here, someone pointing out that when the Bucks traded Dirk for tractor trailer, the 239 says they were awful and non-competitive. They were hopeless. It wasn't a downtime. It was a poverty franchise that kept bombing on top 3 picks. What are we doing here? And the 414 here, finally, if Giannis gets traded, can we have normal price beer and food prices at Pfizer, like 50% off from now on? Yeah, another good point, though, right? Like the Bucks won the championship. We saw all the prices get jacked up because it was, hey, we're changing the culture. I'm telling you, and a lot of you on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line are in agreement with me of just it's not like it was all roses before Giannis, and we trust this organization to move on from Giannis and do the right thing and continue to build. And I think that they've made it very, very difficult on themselves to prove me wrong. I think that if they were going to do that, they probably had to trade Giannis a couple years ago. They had to do what the Packers do and move on from guys before it's time to move on. You got to be a year ahead. The Bucks have put themselves in a tough spot, and I don't know that I trust Haslam or this ownership group to truly be able to turn it around in 2, 3, or 4 years.
For the state of Wisconsin, the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line, 414-677-1250. When it comes to this trust in the organizations, Packers, Brewers, Bucks, put them in order of how much you care. I think that's the most telling piece of this. For those of us not in Milwaukee, across the state of Wisconsin, I honestly could not care less what the Bucks organization does. I just want them to be relative so that we get to have a conversation. But the majority of the people that I talk to here are beyond over this Giannis saga. No different than they were beyond over Aaron Rodgers and how that saga was ending. There's just luckily not been a lot of sagas, for lack thereof, with the Brewers organization. The biggest saga that we have from a Brewers organization is that they can't seem to get over the hump and actually get back to the World Series. But I think we're unfortunately comparing apples to oranges because there has been very few players, if ever, that have compared to Giannis. And this one seems to hurt the worst just from a superstardom standpoint, specifically because he turned heel this year. He likes playing the villain.
I'm telling you, it's not that. It's absolutely the fact that in all of those other situations, especially the Brewers is the best example. It's a franchise that didn't have the ability to even necessarily go out and buy another guy to keep the fan base happy and interested when they're going to lose their star athlete. And they still find ways to keep themselves relevant and keep you interested. The reason why we're focusing so much on Giannis here for Bucks fans, for us that do care about the team and grew up and loved what Giannis has all done and followed this, is because the Bucks organization hasn't given us a damn thing to go, well, if they move on from Giannis, they'll be able to use those draft picks to build around this guy. Well, we've seen a lot of promise in this guy. They went and got a move from this guy to build the future. They had this guy study under Giannis. He's going to have 3 or 4 years under his belt before Giannis leaves. They haven't done any of that. And that's what's keeping us here going. When Giannis is gone, whether it be at the trade deadline, off season, or in the next 3 years, this organization is not ready.
We're going to find out because they're here for a really long time, or they're going to pay for a lease that they don't play in the building of. The good, the bad, the ugly. There's some of that to discuss from over the weekend of Wisconsin sports. We'll get to that next. The Nicolay Law Fan talking text line 414-677-1250. What was good? What was bad? And what was downright ugly from the weekend? When we get back on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Former Badgers D coordinator Jim Leonhard hired in Buffalo over the weekend. So did the Packers make a mistake by not chatting with him before moving on to Jonathan Gannon? Right move, wrong move? We'll see what the guys think on 9 to noon with former Packers fullback John Kuhn this morning, starting at 9 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht inside Wisconsin Sports. The good, the bad, the ugly. To wrap up the conversation here, a few more text messages on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line, 414-677-1250. The Bucs need to be more aggressive during free agency and find help to support Giannis. If they do not put a good supporting cast around him, at this rate, he might be gone so fast. Yeah, like this week, possibly.
Yeah, like in the next 72 hours. Yeah.
715, Brewers, Packers, Bucs in that order. Jason in Wind Lake, what are we doing here? It's the first bad regular season in like 12 years. Giannis has been injured for like 30 games, and everybody is losing their mind. Kind of pathetic. Giannis needs the Bucs, and the Bucs need Giannis, says the 608. I could not disagree more. Move on.
The 920 here says they've completely mortgaged the future, which gives me no faith that the Bucs will be relevant anytime soon if they make a trade.
And 608 says huge Badgers win, Josh and Trevor. And so that's where we move the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was Wisconsin sports. A few good to report back. Badgers basketball, and that has a lot to do with what Wisconsin is calling the Killer Bees.
The Killer Bees backcourt duo is really the engine that drives this Wisconsin team. When you have two guards that can create for themselves and for others, you have something.
We'll look at a Blackwell low on the left, powers it up and in. That was a thing of beauty from Boyd to show himself. Boyd takes him on, down the lane, layup good with the left hand. Step back three left corner. John Blackwell doing a little work. First layup is good. Blackwell open three, right side, yes sir. He steals the inbound pass, and Blackwell lays it in. Driving on him, right lane line, throws it up and in and one.
I love Nick Boyd. I love John Blackwell.
Nick Boyd and John Blackwell are a problem. That Odyssey Curdio of the Badgers Twitter. Last year when we had Jonathan Blackwell, he played really well in the tournament and then made all of us nervous because he made himself eligible or was studying for the NBA draft or something along those lines. And we're like, great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not only did he come back, but then we go and land this cat named Nick Boyd. He played a few seasons at Florida Atlantic, then San Diego State, and then with the Badgers. That's why they call him a veteran, if you will. But to put him and Blackwell in the same what we would call backfield, just as fascinating because somehow they go back and forth in terms of leading scorers. Right now, Boyd leads the team with 20 points per game, and Blackwell has 18.5 points per game. That's what makes the Badgers dangerous because opposing teams can't really guard what you would look to be two shooting guards.
Mm-hmm.
Yet one of them's the point, yet they both play the two. And that's a hard deal to defend, especially if they get open. And by the way, they're quick, which is a really good problem to have for Bucky.
Yeah, and you nailed it on the head right there. Speed. You go back and you look at other March Madness appearances for the Bucks, it always seemed like they were slow. They played a slower game of basketball against teams that when they were matched up against a non-Big Ten team in the March Madness tournament. And you went, man, if the Badgers can't figure out how to be faster, they're not going to beat any of these. It works in the Big Ten. That slow, wait for the shot, and then make a good shot play worked for them in the Big Ten for years, but then they'd get to the tournament and it wouldn't. It's nice to see some speed on the Badgers.
The Packers announced the contract extensions on Friday for Matt LaFleur, Russ Ball, and Brian Gutekunst. Still no announcements on anything coaching staff-wise, but I saw some friends on the beat over the weekend who said, don't hold your breath. The Packers announced their coaching staff all at once later this year. Unlike, Buffalo announcing that Jim Leonhard's coming their way, or Philadelphia or San Diego or any of these other NFL teams that come out and announce who they have from coordinators and coaching staff and blah, blah, blah. Look at all the guys following Jeff Hafley to Miami. And the Packers just don't do that. So that was news to me. I'm going to just lower my expectations of needing to see change in all these things, although the information always leaks out. Always. And sometimes on purpose, frankly.
I don't know if this would go under bad or not, but we haven't gotten your opinion as a person who desperately wanted the Packers to bring Jim Leonard home on your thoughts of the Bills going and getting Jim Leonard.
Oh, I had already moved on. When it got reported that Jonathan Gannon was the DC, I spent no more time thinking about that.
Were you surprised by that move? Did it not make you think, man, the Packers should have waited, or good for Jim Leonard? Were you surprised that he didn't stay in Denver?
It's definitely good for Jim Leonard. A lot of people thought he was going to be the next defensive coordinator for the Broncos.
Yeah.
And yet he goes and has a few conversations, and Buffalo didn't want to let him leave the building. I'm happy for him. I think, well, here's what I really thought. Jim Leonard will be the next head coach of the Green Bay Packers.
Oh.
That's what I really thought.
Interesting.
136 on the YouTube on February 2nd.
Okay.
That's my prediction. I think he lands ahead. It's 2026, 27, 2028.
Okay, so 2 more seasons of this experiment with LaFleur.
Do it once, shame on you. Do it twice, shame on me. That's how I think this is going to go.
Very interesting.
I think unless something drastically changes and the Packers win the and I mean this, win the Super Bowl, the Packers will move on from Matt LaFleur in the next 2 years, unless they win the Super Bowl. And so you asked me, what did I think of when I saw our guy Jim Leonard go to Buffalo? That it's one step closer to being the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. That's totally a homer take.
I was going to say, I got nothing there. If that happens, that's insane.
It would be amazing. So that's good. That's good with the Wisconsin tie too. The bad, I just think we're just going to have to accept the fact that Marquette's down.
Yeah. Yeah. I talked to, and I know you got a huge Marquette fan in the house. I talked to a few Marquette fans over the weekend, and I said, what happens with Shaka at the end of the season? And they both said, I think that, he gets one more year, and it's he has to use a transfer portal and nil, and, he can't keep the same mindset. And I said, yeah, I don't know how easy it is to really in 1 year successfully change your philosophy from not using that stuff at all to then crushing it using that stuff.
Does he not use that stuff at all, or does he not participate in the conversations in nil when it comes to all the agents and the pitching and the bidding and all those things?
I mean, you know better than I would. I've just been, all I've ever heard is that that's not his philosophy. It's homegrown. It's trying to keep the talent together and just grow the guys you have, not go and pay for the best talent to come to your school.
Another piece of the bad from over the weekend, near and dear to my heart, the Phoenix dropped 2 over the weekend, the Green Bay Phoenix men's basketball team. Lose on Friday night to Cleveland State. It was tough because they didn't show up in the first half. I did not get there till the second half, like I explained to Coach Gottlieb and the rest of you listening, because I had my son's basketball game. But I got over there as quickly as I could. I think I walked in the second half with 15-ish minutes to play.
That's not bad.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And my son's basketball game started 20 minutes late because a ref didn't show up on time. But I digress. The poor guy went to the wrong school. Wrong location.
True.
Sorry about that. So with 15 left in the second half, I get into the building, and somebody quickly said if they would have played this way in the first half, this wouldn't even be a game. And yesterday, it was fascinating. We were talking earlier about the stardom pieces and trusting franchises and so on. That's what Doug's up against right now with GB, is he's got a couple 2-tree guys. But then after that, it's really on a game-by-game basis. Who's going to be in, who's going to be out. There was a guy that played yesterday. Marwan is his first name. Last name Chichi or Chichi or something like that. It's C-I-C-I-C. You tell me. I have no idea. Played really well. Really well for the first time in like forever. So he's got the guys. And I talked to Doug last night, and this is one of the things that I think just college athletics is up against a little bit. You and I, maybe more me than you, when we grew up playing sports, it was clear that when we played with the same guys season over season over season, that we learned how to play together, learned how to play on the same team, knew each other's nuances, who was going to do what when they had the ball, where would they look, where do I need to be, and so on. That's just not the thing anymore in college athletics. And I just think from an expectation standpoint with us as fans, especially at the mid-major level, it's going to be a lot of ups and downs.
Well, I think that it's a little bit different. It's finding the talent, paying the talent to come to your school, and then paying them again to stay at the collegiate level and get better and build around that team instead of going to the NBA, instead of going to the draft and then trying to play, even if they don't make it, go play overseas, because now they can get paid to play at the college level. But you still got to pay to try to keep them there, is your point.
Well, that's kind of the idea with Marquette too, right? Like the Badgers found a big old bag of money, and somehow Luke Fickell's going at this thing completely different this year in terms of the portal and offers and so on. They landed the quarterback they've had their eyes on for 2 years, which I have questions about that, but whatever. So does Marquette do that? Do they find this bag of money someplace and Shaka gets on board with this is just the way it's going to be? But on the flip side, Josh, we've seen really good college coaches go, I'm out. This ain't for me.
Right.
Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
Wisconsin ties. Can't do it.
Because it's a completely different way of recruiting. Recruiting has always been one of the biggest parts of coaching, but this is not your let me show up and to their house, talk to the parents, and explain why getting an education at Marquette is better than getting an education somewhere else. This is way different in terms of recruiting.
That's the good and the bad from Wisconsin in terms of the sports weekend. When we come back, we'll review the ugly. What do you think was the ugliest thing from the weekend here in Wisconsin sports? 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line. We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Wisconsin, remember, at any point you can open your favorite podcast platform and search Inside Wisconsin Sports. And there we are. You can listen to any hour, any segment, any portion of the show whenever it works best for you. You can also text sports to 414-677-1250. Sports to 414-677-1250, and we will send you back a link that takes you right to the webpage within wisportsradio.com, where you can listen to any portion of whichever show you missed or want to go back to and check out as well. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, reviewing the Wisconsin sports weekend, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. If you don't know what the ugly is, you're not paying attention. The Milwaukee Bucks are just frankly in an ugly spot. It's not confusing, and I don't have any expectations anymore. That's why it's just plain out ugly. Like, it would be bad if we had the expectation and they didn't follow through, or maybe it would be bad if they jumped out to a 12-0 lead like they did this weekend and then made it a close game and lost in the end. That'd be bad. But what's ugly is that not only did they jump out to a 12-0 lead, but then they got curb stomped, 107-79. And that is ugly on so many different levels from a Bucs standpoint, to the point where, for me, if I didn't have this job and talk about Bucs on a regular basis, because they're one of the Wisconsin sports teams that we hold near and dear, no matter what no matter what the situation is. Yeah, I got it. You thought it.
No,
just,
I got it. I got it. Yeah. Near and dear. Yep.
I'm just indifferent, and that's a bad spot. But what creates me being not indifferent is change. And so this will be the week that the Bucs can win me back. We have to move on from Giannis. Have to.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why this is the ugly for me is, as I mentioned earlier in the show, it's just I understand tanking. It's not something that we've done in Wisconsin sports in quite a while. I don't care what league you're looking at, but it's that you're tanking miserably. Like, it's not you're losing games, but you're making them competitive. You're losing games, but there's still a ray of sunshine you can find in that cloudy day. It is just dark and rainy every single day. It is rough. It is rough. It is a rough watch right now for Bucs fans.
Annie in Oconomowoc on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line, 414-677-1250. She asked us earlier, with the news of Mike LaFleur being named the head coach over the weekend of the Arizona Cardinals, if we were to pick one, apparently based on looks alone, Annie said, is Mike LaFleur as attractive as Matt LaFleur is? She asked. And she just followed up with that question literally an hour and a half later and goes, actually, I just looked up Mike LaFleur. Looks like I'm sticking with Matt. Okay. Well, Matt says thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt, if you're listening, you have Annie's support.
Jacob in a van in the 262 says, praying that the NASCAR Clash exhibition race in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, can be run on Wednesday. It's been postponed now for snow 3 times in a row. That's right. The Daytona 500 is also just around the corner as well. When we come back, let's talk Brewers baseball. Let's get out of the doldrums that is the Milwaukee Bucks and the situation there, and think about this being the last week without Brewers baseball from now until the end of October. Game 7, if need be, of the World Series in the 2026 MLB season is set to be played on Halloween, October 31st.
Perfect.
Wouldn't that be something? If all of us got to go to AmFam Field in our favorite costumes, that would be the most Wisconsin thing ever. To finally win a World Series and pan to the crowd and we're all dressed up like idiots.
I'm looking forward to talking to Timmy. I'm going to also ask him about our conversation at 7:00 that we had and just see his thoughts on, I mean, he's been more than just a Brewer fan, Wisconsin sports fan for a long time. I want him to tell me, was I wrong about where these fan bases were at years and years ago?
414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line. How do we feel about Brewers season being right around the corner? And do you have the yips? I find myself having the yips with baseball in this particular time because of all the things pending with the collective bargaining agreement. Like, it's really hard for me to have goggles on that view anything with the Brewers past this season. Specifically because if they're really going to fix this whole salary cap thing, that means that the owners are going to have to lock out the players. It's not the players going on strike. It'll be the owners locking them out and going, we can't do this. There's no way for us to continue on without XYZ in place, and that is going to be very hard to come to an agreement on. We'll talk to Timmy next. The franchise, Tim Allen, joins us. We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Please get me to baseball season. Can't happen soon enough. I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Giannis has said everything that we need to hear, that he wants to be a Buck. He loves the city. That's all I can go by as a coach right now. Has it been difficult? Yeah. Your players every day have to hear stuff every single day about not just their best player, but they're thrown in the mix as well. My favorite day of the year this year will be the day after the trade deadline. That'll be my favorite day because I think everyone will be here and we can get to, you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to that.
What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome back inside Wisconsin Sports. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albright.
Hi.
Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Joining us now on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. The one and only Tim Allen. What's up? Good to hear from you, Tim Allen.
Good morning. A little bit of a busy weekend. Did you realize yesterday was the first time in 6 months we didn't have football?
Yeah. We talked about that.
months.
This is the last week. This week is the last week we won't have Brewers baseball between now and the end of October.
Oh man. Awesome. I mean,
See what I'm saying?
we can focus in on Brewers and spring training and the moves and what ifs and if this guy breaks out and if this guy but we can also keep our eyes on the Milwaukee Bucks. We can see what's going on there because seems to be a lot going on with the Bucks. So there's a Seattle New England Super Bowl coming. I mean, there's still a ton going on.
So the crazy part with the Bucks, let's get to this right away, is that there's a lot going on and yet there's literally nothing going on. Like, I have one eye shut and the other eye half open. That's how much I want to pay attention to the Bucks right now. That's how much it sucks being a Bucks fan. And this will be the week that we know our fate with Giannis, whether you think we got to move on or not.
Well, and believe me, folks, I'm not comparing Freddie Peralta to Giannis. Okay, I'm not. But theoretically, when you remove a guy like Peralta relative to his status and his talents to the Brewers, when you remove him from the team on the surface for now or for that minute, did it make the team better? Right that very second. We could debate that. And chances are when you remove a 17-6 mark, 30-plus starts and a 2.70 ERA, that's tough. Okay, can you recover and win a division title, get a deep run into the playoffs? Of course you can, but just in that minute. Now go over and use that same theory to the Milwaukee Bucks. I find it tough to kind of grasp that the Bucks are in a better situation without one of, if not the best player in the country. I find that very difficult to digest. So it's just tough. And I know it's part of the business. It's part of the sports world. But it is on the surface recovery time that's actually going to take a little time. When you remove – it's Giannis. I mean, I don't – you can't – that's the guy you build around. But I get the game and I get the business.
I think the other thing, we've touched on it a little bit here today, Timmy, is that it's the Bucks organization has been focused on – going all in consistently when they're out of chips and trying to put pieces around Giannis now in comparison to what the Packers and the Brewers have been doing for years and years and years of bringing in those next guys and having someone that can learn from your current athlete and be ready for a rebuild in case that player doesn't want to stay, right? That's been the hardest thing that we've accepted as Brewers fans, is that that's the way that the Brewers have to run the organization. They have to get rid of a Josh Hader midseason. They got to get rid of a Freddie Peralta, even when they have a chance to maybe push those chips in further, because they have to build for the future. They have to consistently be building for the future. The Bucks organization just hasn't done that. There is no one currently on the Bucks once Giannis is gone that people go, well, hey, at least we have this young kid that we can all put our faith in. And so, to your point, I agree. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult for the Bucks to get back to that championship window once Giannis is gone, whether it be in 4 days, off season, or further.
Well, that's the thing, Josh. Yeah, I mean, you had an NBA title not that long ago. Now, I get it. You want another one. But you can't sort of hang your hat on that. It's not like you came up empty through all of this. You're right. They have been trying to insert more of a veteran presence because they know the time is now with Giannis. And is the one NBA title, is the one championship good enough? We had a great time in 21. I'll tell you that. But it's just a difficult situation. And you brought in Doc Rivers, a veteran coach, to kind of, put things into a situation where, get into the tournament, get hot, and you can take this thing. It just seems to me, and I love the Bucks, but it just seems a little messy right now. It does. And I would prefer that all these guys talk about the game itself, the team itself, and not and I know reporters ask, but they're talking about, you just heard Doc Rivers there, guys, say that he'll be happy when all that rhetoric is done. I'll be happy when that stuff is done. I'll be happy if, Doc Rivers stops talking about politics and Minneapolis, and I got his heart's in it and all that. But I certainly would love the Bucks to focus on the Bucks in the now. It does. It just contributes to a little messiness.
I love what you said, Timmy, last week. I literally wrote it down. You said all the negative worlds are colliding at the same time in regards to the Bucks.
Yeah, it does seem like that, and they don't need more distractions and more, I don't know, bulletin board material for the fans to take pot shots at. Their ticket prices are pretty affordable, and I'll just suggest this to, pro sports fans, basketball fans. I mean, especially in Milwaukee, you have an NBA championship team from 5 years ago. You have an NBA talent on that team. You have NBA opponents coming in. Ticket prices, go enjoy. Even though it's a little messy, I would suggest just going for the love of checking out a professional NBA basketball game. It still is kind of cool.
Tim Allen joins us on Inside Wisconsin Sports. So when it comes to moving on from a guy like Giannis, or moving on from Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, how do we look at those situations and then compare to when the Brewers move on from stars like Freddie Peralta? ERA, 7th in Major League Baseball last year. Strikeouts, 9th in Major League Baseball. Yet we trade him, get a couple guys back that are good for the greater grand, if you will, and we move on. Yet it doesn't seem like the other sports franchises can do it. Is that just because we kind of expect that as Brewers fans?
They're getting a lot of love, Trevor, in the baseball world. With, every team has their algorithms, for lack of another term, how they grade their prospects, how they analyze, how they project, how they scout, how they pay them. All of that goes into and every team has its own way. In fact, there was a deal with Houston and St. Louis where guys were suspended because they stole some proprietary material in there that, because they didn't want to have other teams crack the code. I'll bet you that a lot of other teams in Major League Baseball want to crack the Brewers code on how they're doing this with the resources that they've got. And it's not just payroll. It goes a little deeper than that. I always wonder, why the Dodgers have pretty much year to year to year, year over year, they have a high-ranked farm system. Well, why is that? Well, number one, they probably have their own system, as I said. That's pretty good. But number two, they have more resources in that department as well. They're not just throwing payroll out there for existing players. They're also throwing payroll into the infrastructure. So when the Brewers did infrastructure money hike in a $60 million renovation at Maryvale Baseball Complex, that was part of this, that pitching lab. And everyone kind of, nowadays they're saying a pitching lab. That's not. Is it a laboratory? And I just picture Munsters and Grandpa and the trapdoor and beakers and bubblers and all that stuff. Not necessarily like that, but that's part of the infrastructure. That's how they're doing this. And Matt Arnold needs a lot of credit for that. Mark Adonasio, quite frankly, needs a lot of credit for that. But year over year, they seem to be always contending now. And we just have to remember it. If you're 25 years old, this is all you know. From the time you were 15, 14, all you knew was, in the regular season at least, winning baseball, an entertaining brand of baseball, winning baseball. And then you get to the playoffs, and that's the next hurdle. Now that's the next algorithm. That's the next system. That's the next get over the hump kind of thing. And I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not saying the time is now. That's not what I'm saying. It could be. They may determine the time is now. But at some point, let's just hypothetically, let's throw out a hypothetical. Guys, Josh, Trevor, if this team continues to do what they've been doing the last decade, and that is winning 1 million games in the regular season, an entertaining brand of baseball on top of that, they get into the playoffs and they win a series there. They got bumped out here. If they continue to do that, maybe another NLCS appearance. If they continue to do that, here's your hypothetical, for the next 3 to 4 years. But again, in those 3 to 4 years, they come up short on either getting to or winning a World Series. Wouldn't that then lead you to believe that just you mentioned pushing in chips in a little different way just to try that? Or is this good enough for them? That's the question. And I know that the goal is always to win the World Series. They're going to tell you that. I remember years ago, none of these players, coaches, managers would ever bring up World and Series together. They just wouldn't. Now they do a lot. Yeah, the goal is to win the World Series. So if you've hit, the snag, which is a good snag to hit. Trust me, a lot of organizations would love to be where the Brewers are at right now. They absolutely love it. And in decent-sized markets on top of that. But if you continue to get ceilinged out, wouldn't you try things just a little different way at some point? And I don't make those decisions, obviously. Is this the point now? Well, with the launch of Freddie, probably not in their mind. Is it next year when you start meshing in some of these higher prospects into the system? Then do they push in and for the 28 championship season? That's the big question for me. At what point is this not good enough?
I think, Tim, when I look back at when the Brewers have pushed those chips in, right, when they've made those splashes, it kind of felt like you knew something was different, right? In 2011, when they went to the NLCS and lost 4-2, the beginning of the season, you knew, oh, this could be it. This could be the year. They got Greinke, and there was buzz. And then they went out there, they did it. 2018, they add Yelich, right? They make that trade, and correct. And you go, oh, look out. This could be something. And they made it to the NLCS. This last year, 2025, was the first time that I can remember them not. It was all kind of, there wasn't a big splash at the beginning of the season where we went, oh, they went and got this guy.
Quintana and Hoskins, though, that is sort of a chip slide, though, Josh. That
Guys,
is kind of some heavy-duty guys.
Do you think that pushing the chips in for the Brewers, though, is more powerful at the start of the season with those guys that Josh just listed, or is it more of a making something happen at the deadline type of thing that really, like a CC Sabathia type of deal?
Right.
Like that's the moment where I was like, oh yes, there's the chips.
And that's the splashy move. But they will tell you, though, Trevor, it's a great point, because they will tell you, hey, when we acquired Shelby Miller, that was sort of pushing some chips in.
So is that what you're talking about, though, Tim? Is that the type of chip push? Because that's not what I'm looking for.
No,
like those
I agree with
those are you're just anting up at that point. If we're going to keep the poker reference going,
you're staying in, right?
Right. That's not pushing chips in. These moves that I'm talking about, the Yelich and Kane move, or the Greinke move in 2011, those were you were pushing chips in and you knew it. You knew, oh my gosh, okay, the Brewers are going for it. The Brewers haven't been that way in a while. And I don't think they made that type of splash in 2025, and they still got there. So seeing them get to the NLCS without having to make a big push like they did those other 2 times that I brought up kind of gave me faith that, okay, you can get there without it. Now can you get to the World Series? Now have you built a good enough team with a good enough farm system to keep bringing up guys to where now if you make that push for a big player, now you can go even further.
I would think it's coming, Josh, Trevor. I do. I think it's coming. And here's why. When Murph said, hey, that devastating Alonso home run, that team is going to learn from that. They're going to learn that that's the way it goes in this postseason. Those young players, guaranteed, are going to learn from that. And what happened? They came back the following year, won 97 games, and then won a playoff series. And I attribute that in a lot of cases here, a lot of these players, from learning the year prior of just getting stunned at the end there. And now then they knew, hey, in a loser go home match like the Brewers had in against the Mets, they had the same thing against the Cubs. And they drew on that experience from the year before. Now, what kind of experience do they draw taking that next step? And that is an LCS. And, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a blast finding out. But I truly believe this. The splashy move is coming. It is. Guys, it is. They're not going to accept, even though it's, as I said, a great brand of baseball, a lot of fun throughout the summer. If you're there in Green Bay or in the North Woods or in Milwaukee or Kenosha, I mean, we're having a blast with Brewers baseball. But I think they are going to take that next step. They are, in some way, shape, or form. And no one would fault them for that. I mean, we could debate on, wow, yeah, it was a superstar acquisition, but I would have went after that guy. Okay, that's a fair debate. But the fact that they would go, I don't, you'd have to define all in, because that's another rub on this thing. What defines all in or pushing chips in, but that splashy move where everybody agrees to, Trevor, your point there. Wow. Whoa.
Right.
Look at this. Right. And if it doesn't work, no one's going to be upset, guys. No one's going to hate the Brewers. No one's going to not buy tickets because they made an attempt at a superstar and it didn't result in a World Series.
Tim Allen on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Timmy, one more before we let you go. Rumor around town has it that you like the Potawatomi Casino Hotel.
I do.
If you were to bet on some of these Super Bowl prop bets, where are you at? You got one?
I do have one.
Okay, which one did you take? And then I'm going to ask you how you take the one that I was going to bet on, I think.
Okay.
What do you got?
Drake May. I am a huge fan of Drake May. And actually, there are a bundle of quarterbacks there's a grouping of some really, really cool quarterbacks in the league now. And going down to Jackson Dart, and Drake May is one of them. I hate to say it, but Caleb Williams is one of them too. He's an up-and-coming quarterback. There's a new crop of quarterbacks in town. But Drake May, when you listen to him, when you watch him play, when you look at the numbers, he's a young dude, and this is based on my experience. What is he, 23 years old? There's going to be some butterflies there. There's no question about it. You're on the biggest stage, and I don't care how much Vrabel preps him for this. When he gets in the heat of battle against a really strong Seattle Seahawks defense, what do young quarterbacks do when they, I won't say panic. There may be plays that he panics a little bit. Trevor, he's going to run. He's going to
What's
take
the
off
line?
running. And I want to say 20 some yards. It didn't matter to me. Whatever it is, he's going over. That's where I'm playing.
Okay.
Over
I like
rushing yards for Drake May. Now the caveat here is, and I hate this statistical rule in the NFL. They need to change this. Why does a quarterback get penalized for a kneel down? How come a quarterback gets penalized for a kneel down in terms of his yards rushing?
Well, yeah, black and white, man. I mean, like you take a step backwards, whether it's on a reception, a run, or a snap.
All right, then you got to give the sack then. Then when the defensive lineman touches him down, then you got to give a sack to him.
Do you need to touch? Does a defensive lineman need to touch a quarterback kneeling down, or is that it? I think that's it.
That's a good point. It may be it.
There is
they may just say the give up and it's a whistle, but that rule needs to change too. Then why are you? If that's a anyway, that could come back to get you and has in the wagering world. What do you have, Trevor?
Now that you brought that up, I'm betting it, but so help me, if they lose this bet on a kneel, I'm coming right back to this conversation.
I can't wait for that.
Okay.
So I like the other prop bets about like the coin toss and the Super Bowl national anthem. So Charlie Puth is singing the national anthem. The over under, this is lopsided, but it feels like there's a reason for it. It is 1:59.5, 1 minute, 59.5 seconds. So essentially the over is 2 minutes or anything more, and the under is anything under 2 minutes. 2 minutes is a really long national anthem to begin with, which means you look at Charlie Puth, look at us breaking down the national anthem.
Yep, exactly.
The
what
guy
I thought would
really
happen.
gets into the music side of this. So where are you at? Over under 159.
I'm going over.
I took the over too. Okay.
And I don't know much about Charlie Puth, but I was working down the hall, guys, on the mix some years ago. I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And Charlie Puth was a big deal, and it was 99.1 the mix. There's Charlie Puth. He gets fancy, and he's a really, really creative dude. I do know that much about him, and he does get fancy in his singing. I think he's going to add some cool stuff to it. It's got to be an over.
I'm with you. And by the way, somebody just texted in 35.5 yards rushing for May is the over under.
I think he breaks one big one and eats up probably 20 of those yards in one play. And again, I'm not saying he's going to be panic attack all across the game. There are going to be plays that a 23-year-old second-year quarterback, there are going to be plays where he just doesn't trust the coverage. He doesn't trust his eyes, and he's going to take off running, guys. He's going to.
All right. I'm taking the over on that. I will. Me and you, buddy. We got this.
We're in. I'll be in Vegas for that, but
fun.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Tim Allen on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh joining us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all.
Now, you guys are going to give me the Friday off. The Monday off, right? Next week.
I'm off.
Next week, Josh, you're going to give me Monday off. That'd be 6 that's 6 a.m. on a Monday morning after the Super Bowl in Las Vegas.
Where's that commitment? I want you to
that's
stay
Tim
up.
saying he's not coming. Josh.
I want you to stay up.
Yes.
You can go to bed after your hit.
Afterwards. Okay,
come on now.
Gotcha.
Let's find
all
you
right,
at
we'll
the
catch
slots.
up with you Friday this week, and then we'll catch up with you Tuesday next week to
you got it, guys.
preview what will be the week we get Brewers baseball back. Let's go.
Yep, you guys got it. We'll talk some Brewers baseball, Hot Stove Weekly, Wednesday right here on the Fan. And we'll guests to be determined. Stay on the socials. We'll let you know.
Wednesday night, 5 to 7, Milwaukee, Green Bay, Wausau, Duluth Superior, statewide on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. When we come back, the NFL Network and ESPN did what? And does that affect us as Packers fans? We'll jump into it. We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Former Badgers defensive coordinator Jim Leonhard was hired in Buffalo over the weekend. Do you think Jonathan Gannon is a better fit for the Pack, or did we mess up? Find out what the guys think on 9 to noon with former Packers fullback John Kuhn this morning, starting at 9 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Programming note, Josh, this just in. Do we have a breaking news sounder? Do we have one of them yet?
No, we'll get one.
Let's get one.
Okay.
Breaking news on Inside Wisconsin Sports tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Badgers play-by-play voice Matt LePay will join us here on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network and Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Awesome.
It will be fantastic to catch up with Matt LePay, hear what his take is on those bees for the Badgers and what we should expect come tournament time. I'm jacked. I am so ready for basketball season. But leave it to the NFL to steal basketball season from us. Other than that Super Bowl thing, some news came out in August of this last year about something happening with ESPN and the NFL Network and the rights to the red zone and so on. And then it was officially approved by the government yesterday, if that tells you how big of a deal it was.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short, ESPN has officially closed their deal to acquire the NFL Network, the NFL Red Zone, and other NFL media assets. Well, how much money did they spend? Zero. They're just getting 10% equity and a stake in ESPN. So essentially, for all of those media rights, ESPN said, here's 10% of our company. Not 10% of Disney.
No.
Not 10% of anything else other than ESPN. What could go wrong?
A lot. A lot could go wrong. I mean, the big thing, too, is so according to the story by Andrew Marchand from The Athletic, he said that, as you just mentioned, the 10% ownership of ESPN, that's what goes to the NFL. And then ESPN is going to not only own and operate the NFL Network, but also become the official home of fantasy football by merging the NFL's product with its own. So you think about like how big fantasy football has come, like now that's all ESPN. Like anything that the NFL is doing in regards to fantasy football, it's all going through ESPN's channels now. And then also they have the linear rights, he says, to the Red Zone channel. So I'm trying to figure out what that's going to mean with Red Zone. I know there are a ton of people that were, Red Zone's been bouncing around a little bit over the last couple of years of where it is and how you get it. And now it looks like it might be on the move again. It didn't say in the article what's going to happen with it, but I think it's just an interesting point to look at with the NFL when you had Amazon Prime and, Peacock and some of these other players that were coming in and getting games and getting playoff games, right, that you could only watch on their streaming services. And then ESPN comes in and goes, yeah, we'll give you 10% of us to let us control all of these different parts of your organization.
Yeah, ESPN has a direct consumer play here. They're all in on ESPN Plus Premium Niner add-on, whatever it is.
Yeah.
With direct to consumer. You might remember I was in a world of hurt this past year with YouTube TV being in an argument with ESPN and Disney in general about all the networks that they offer to these streaming platforms. I would expect this year for ESPN to offer the NFL Network Red Zone or ESPN Red Zone, whatever it is, direct to consumers via ESPN Plus Premium.
Yeah, which is that the name of it? Because there's ESPN Plus and then there's whatever it was. It was so funny when you went through all that and then you realized that you were paying for ESPN Plus Premium for WWE pay-per-views and you went, oh, yeah, this whole time I could have just been watching it because I'm paying for it. But that's where we're at, right? We just, as consumers, we have no idea what's where, how we're paying for it. And it just seems like this is giving more control to ESPN to jack up the price. Right now, it's been really nice when they finally changed something to where, because I have a bundle with Disney Plus and Hulu or something, they made it to where I could get ESPN Plus Premium, whatever you call it. Now I can see that being taken away, and they're going to start making me pay for it separately because, well, now we're including the NFL Red Zone with it. Now do you want to pay us $30 a month just for ESPN? Ugh, I hate it. It's more of us losing control as consumers.
Well, you have control. Just open up your pocketbook. That's all the control you need.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course.
I also expect from a Packers fan perspective that this will actually be to our benefit. So many times when there are something on an ESPN type platform, it's carried by the ABC affiliate in the home markets, which in Wisconsin, the Green Bay Packer home markets, plural, Green Bay and Milwaukee. When it comes to some of the games on Thursday nights, what we're on NFL Network for a hot second, and then there's changes with the playoffs and now Amazon, all the things. I ultimately think that removing another platform and taking that platform onto one that we're all familiar with will actually be a benefit to us as Green Bay Packers fans. The NFL and ESPN have been in bed together a really long time. And honestly, it's the saving grace for ESPN. Unfortunately, ESPN as a whole has become insanely irrelevant to sports fans outside of using Twitter or social media and watching clips and getting all the things you need to there. Sports Center as a whole is not what it used to be when I was a kid growing up watching John Anderson on repeat the following morning. But at some level, we have to agree that when Pat McAfee joined ESPN, everything changed on how ESPN was moving their product forward. And so with that, and then NFL Network and all the NFL media rights, it is ESPN going, you want to talk about chips to the middle, all in on NFL football. And rightfully so. What else? That's them also proving that, literally, this NBA deal that we just did with Turner and TNT and bringing those boys over, not working.
Nope. Sure isn't. But they still have that. They still have that on the bill as well.
Well, and how they're going to pay for that is this.
Charging you. Yep.
All right, when we come back, Rami Makloff joins us in studio to catch up with him and cross over with the guys from 9 to noon. There's a big conversation about D coordinator Jim Leonhard and him heading to Buffalo. And did we get it right with Jonathan Gannon? And when are we're going to find out eventually about the Packers coaching staff and what all that looks like. But there's some other pieces of the NFL puzzle that happen in connection with the Packers. And one of them has to do with strength and conditioning. And a former Packers strength and conditioning coach headed to Pittsburgh. It's like Packers 2.0 down there, and it's getting even worse. Rami joins us next. We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We're inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, joining us now to cross over with 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff is John Kuhn. Curveball. Nailed it.
That's skidding off the highway there, taking the emergency exit.
Yeah.
I like it.
Welcome.
Johnny, welcome to Super Bowl week, buddy. What was it like at this time of the week when you guys went down to Dallas?
You know, the teams now have been going out earlier to the Super Bowl on Sunday, and I think they do media day today on Monday. Am I correct in that one? Did they do media day today, or did they still do it on Tuesdays? Back then, Monday was the travel day, and you made your way down to your city, and it was quite the treat. You land at the airport, media everywhere taking pictures as you're getting off the plane and onto buses, and people were all, dressed to the nines in their best suits to try and impress and make it look like a business trip. And then I'll never forget walking into our team hotel there in I think we were in Las Colinas in Dallas.
Oh, were you?
And, yeah, and when we were walking into the hotel, they had life-size, not even life-size, bigger than life posters of every starter hanging on the walls of the hotel coming in. And that's when you got the first sense of, oh, this is not your normal game week going on.
You're right, by the way. It is it looks like it's tonight is when they're going to have media.
Yeah,
and nighttime now.
Yeah, and then back then media day was on Tuesdays, and when we went down to Dallas, I can remember Monday was a great night. We all went out, we got some dinner, we hung out, and we had kind of like a team bonding night where guys had some fun, played some cards, and did some other things. And when Tuesday rolled around, we got a big snowstorm Monday night in Dallas, and it was absolute mayhem because North Texas was not equipped the way Wisconsin is to handle. And I think it was only about 5 inches of snow, something, and not anything too crazy, but they just could not get rid of it. And it made for a travel nightmare for the week. In fact, we were supposed to practice at SMU Stadium, and we ended up having to practice at a high school stadium that had an indoor facility for us that week.
Oh, wow. If that tells you where high school football's at in Texas. Oh, yeah, just come use our high school indoor practice facility. What?
It was nice. It was a good little facility there, and that's where we practiced for the week. So we would actually still change and everything at SMU Stadium in their locker rooms, and then we bus up to this practice facility to get things going. But it is a whirlwind, and it goes faster than you can imagine. The week just flies by with the media obligations and the meals and the practices and the meetings, and it's you're trying to get your family down there. And like I said, travel was not easy that year, so everybody's families got either rerouted. I know my parents, instead of flying into Dallas, they had to fly into Houston and then drive the rest of the way. So it was a nightmare for a lot of people.
Josh, have you ever been, or would you go to the Super Bowl?
I have not been to a Super Bowl. I'd love to experience it once and just
so if
see
the Packers
atmosphere.
make it, are you going?
If I could, yeah. I can't take out a second mortgage to do so, but if the opportunity presented itself, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to be at one. It doesn't even. I'd obviously love for it to be a Packers one. I'd love to just see one. Period.
In general,
yeah, just to get the atmosphere like John's talking about. Like, obviously, it's kind of like, to me, something people just have to experience. It's like you think you've been to a football game, and then you go to a football game at Lambeau, right? And everyone that goes to a game at Lambeau for the first time goes, okay, yeah, that was cool. That was different. I'm glad I experienced. That's where I'm at with the Super Bowl. I'd love to just be there to be able to say, like, yeah, that was exactly like John just said. It is crazy. It is nuts. It is bigger and different.
I think about this, though, with Radio Row, John. You can appreciate this. It's in San Francisco. So let's just hypothetically say that the Packers are in it and Josh and I are out in San Francisco doing the morning show. That's a wake-up call at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe.
Nah, come on.
Do we have?
You get sleep later.
When? When? I would like to know when.
After the Super Bowl.
Well, okay, so this is interesting, too. John, I want your take on this. When you dealt with Wisconsin media, when you guys were at the Super Bowl, so many of them bolt. Like, a lot of the people on Radio Roll don't go to the Super Bowl itself. Do you have memories of seeing familiar faces when it came to Super Bowl coverage? I mean, you can't help but turn on anything now from a sports perspective, and everybody's live from the Super Bowl already.
Well, nobody ever went to Radio Row when you're in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where all the stations nationally go to, and they pick up interviews with guys that were former players or guys that are current players and are just out there doing doing a run through and hitting everything up, trying to market a new product for a company and getting on and doing some interviews and just bouncing from one to another. But when you're playing it, they come to you. Everybody that is something that's covering the game, they come to you, and then they end up going to the game as well. But you're right, Radio Row itself, most of those people, they end up going home as soon as the week is done. But it's a who's who and a see and be seen type situation, and it's not something that teams that are there at the Super Bowl getting ready to play indulge in. But Radio Row does have a nightlife as well, right? When Radio Row kind of gets quiet in the evenings, that's when all the Super Bowl parties are going on throughout the course of the week, and it's an event, especially in the smaller cities that you can kind of traverse and get around, like a New Orleans, like it was last year. You can get around these cities and really maneuver, and it's a lot of fun. It's great. I went to a couple Super Bowls where I didn't go to the game, but I just went for the week, did some stuff on Radio Row, and went to the parties in the evening.
Oh,
man,
sign me up.
Yeah,
Sign
right?
me up.
Like that sounds, it's literally a party to celebrate the NFL. Like, is it focused, John, when you did those things, like, are they focused still on the teams? Is it like, because like I've gone to the Final Four. I don't know if you've gone to a Final Four before, John, but there's groups of people that one just go to every Final Four, and then there's just, you can see the waves of colors from the different schools of the four, and they're all like meshed together in a big group. When you go to like a Super Bowl city for that week, is it straight up you're just seeing the colors of the two teams, or is it like you're seeing everybody? You seeing Packers fans? You seeing everybody?
You get a speckle of other teams, right? There's definitely other teams' fan bases that are there, but predominantly just the two that are in the game. They kind of take it over. I have been to a couple Final Fours, and the cool thing I like about Final Fours is they have their own kind of get-togethers. Like I went when Wisconsin lost to Kentucky, the first Final Four that they were in of those 2 years, and going to the Wisconsin get-togethers in Wisconsin, that's what I enjoyed. That was great because everybody was kind of doing the same calls. That's not the way the Super Bowl is, though, right? They might have Packer parties or Seahawk parties or Patriot parties at a certain place, but really the parties that you end up going to are different because most of the people partying aren't involved with the teams. They're teams that are sitting at home watching the Super Bowl or people or fans that are going to the games. So and they turn out way different.
John, it was announced on Friday, typical Friday afternoon news dump, 2 minutes from the top of the hour. Do you think we're going to get any hint as to who the Packers coaching staff is between now and the season timeframe? I was talking with Rob Domofsky and Matt Schneidman over the weekend, and they're like, they don't actually announce this stuff. They just put the overall team staff like announcement out all at once. Is that true?
Yeah. And I'm just waiting for that to get done. And I don't know how long it'll be. It might be a little while yet before every position is filled up. When you talk about 10 head coaches and another half dozen coordinators around the NFL are getting picked up and moving and changing places, that's a lot of, this is like Game of Thrones where this coach is going to this city and he's taking these coaches from these other cities. So there is a massive staff kind of retooling on just about every team in the league right now.
And if there's a chance that we got it wrong with Gannon, boy, are we going to come back to this moment right now. And I know you guys are going to talk about this from 9 to noon. Did we get it right with Gannon or did we miss Jim Leonard? So stay tuned for that. 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff coming up next. Good to talk to you, JK.
Always fun, guys.
Thanks, Johnny.
9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff. Tomorrow, a Take Back Tuesday. Tomorrow, Matt LePay joins us at 8 a.m. Tomorrow, is there anything new to talk about with the Milwaukee Bucks, or can we honestly skip it for an entire show? That's
no
my
way.
vote. Just skip it.
Andy Okonomwalk's son doesn't think so. He's got a bad feeling about tonight. Andy said, I'll be there for you, Josh, if you need me.
If something happens tonight, fine. But they don't play tonight. There's no news tonight. Doc Rivers ain't talking. Giannis definitely isn't talking. We'll see. If there is something, we'll bring it to you. But if not, go Brewers or something.
There you go.
We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. We'll see you tomorrow.
Because we're not done yet.